You're watching the CG Live podcast. Now, the content for these podcasts are a little bit different than our normal pods as we bring on members and do long-form interviews. These were actually recorded live at our events with members that were going on stage to present, so the content is killer. Enjoy the show. Welcome back into the Live Collective Genius podcast. We are here live at our CG Select and Elevate events in Sarasota, Florida. We have been talking gold standards over the last day and a half, and I am honored in welcoming our next guest who did a gold standard presentation yesterday from the main stage. Please welcome in Mr. JT Von Lintig. Awesome last name, by the way.
Thank you, Leon. Honored to be here. Thank you for having me on the show.
This is, guys, if you are someone that, is full of excuses why you cannot do this business at a high level, you will want to buckle in and to listen to this pod, because JT, get this, and I'm going to let him tell you all the details, but JT lives in New York, but operates in Huntsville, Alabama. I don't think you could find two places that are farther away from each other in regards to culture, probably.
You can't, and that's why we love it so much.
You got the Yankees in Huntsville. So why don't you tell everyone what the niche that you have in Huntsville, your virtual, all of that stuff.
Sure. So me and my partner, Chris Mignon, we live on Long Island. We operate in this Huntsville, Alabama market. We did about 80 houses last year. We do mostly fix and flip. Right now, it's actually pretty even split of wholetail, fix and flip. And our wholetail, we break into like just a clean junk and list and like a strategic renovation. So very heavy on operations right now with raising money, funding deals, building out our project management arm, and then just always working to be as best as we possibly can at anything sales related.
So in 25, we're January 2026 now doing this pod. In 25, there were a lot of markets that days on market had gone up significantly, and it affected cash flow for a lot of real estate investors. That cash conversion cycle went from 30 days to 90 days or 120 days or beyond. How was it for you guys doing fix and flip and hotels as your main strategy?
It felt like there was blood in the streets in Huntsville, Alabama. It was an incredibly difficult year for us. We saw it coming, though, and we adjusted accordingly in late 2024. We started seeing those days on market go up. In our market specifically, there's heavy new construction in the 300. Some of these new constructions are selling for $150 a square foot. We're competing with that.
Sure.
And they're giving out these incentives, $10,000, move in for free and get $10,000, right? So late 2024, we made some significant operation changes to underwriting and to what kind of quality product we wanted to deliver to the market. We started bringing in designers.
Love that.
Just trying to be the best product on the market at the same price as everything else, right? Houses don't sell themselves anymore. We needed something to stand out. We found that flooring choices, fixture choices, paint choices, like things that don't really break the bank or marginal material costs were having a huge difference on getting these things on the market and sold.
Love hearing that. That's something that in markets like Dallas, Texas, where in Fort Worth, where there's a lot of new construction, fix and flippers, I think of Hunter Jarvis presented on that specifically on how they had to step their game up for their rehabbing. And it wasn't a major change. It was just bringing in a designer because you are competing against new construction. If you're in a market where there's a bunch of new construction, the markets like Charlotte and Dallas and those places, it doesn't mean you can't fix and flip. What it means is you've got to look at it from a different lens and come in specifically with people that are professionals to help you move that asset. Love hearing that. We were talking before the show about, that's the things that are right up your alley is no excuses. And you did a presentation yesterday on a gold standard of something that I think is super important. If you don't have this position, listen up. This is a role that you need. And this particular presentation was the gold standard of them hiring a relationship manager. As we started this show with, JT's in New York. Obviously, selling or buying homes in Huntsville, it can be done virtually. But you guys have found a niche, and we talked about this before in this room with relationship managers. You've seen a couple presentations. You took heed to those presentations, and you developed this position How did that start? You watched you mentioned Paul Myers, you mentioned Cam Moore and their presentations that you watched, and you said, all right, this is what we're going back to implement.
It's 100% what happens. So
Hmm.
what me and Chris do extremely well is implementing. Like we will go to multiple meetings here. We'll really pick out, maybe a new position, maybe changing a process from what we learn in these rooms, and then put together a plan really based on our EOS structure. Like we'll put an annual goal together, we'll break it down into rocks and roll that out.
Love
That's
that.
been our success with implementing. So for the relationship manager position specifically, huge influences on that was really Paul Myers and Cameron Moore. Paul Myers is, I think, probably the best relationship manager in the room. His presentation on how to do it was excellent. I don't think they ever saw a tremendous amount of success hiring that position out.
Hmm.
So we took that, we understood what kind of potential this position had if an operator was doing it, and now how do we refine that down into this is one person's sole responsibility, is making those relationships with the people who have access to deals. Cameron Moore was also a huge influence because he was doing a deal a month just by having brokerage presentations. So I met with both of them multiple times, which is why this group is so awesome. We met, we talked about like, hey, I'm thinking about rolling this out. How would you do it?
Mm.
Taking bits and pieces from every person we talked to and then just putting a plan together.
Love hearing how you saw something that you knew could make a massive impact on your business and then sought out. I've said this many times on the pod that, the information is available if you seek it. And, for those that sit on their hands, they'll still get plenty of return from being in the room. But when you have someone that is in the room that just presented on something that you want to implement, you have to go and seek that person out. They have the blueprint for you. Now, you may alter it, and you more than likely will alter everything at some level, especially for your marketplace. But the biggest takeaway I took from your presentation is that you implemented this, but it didn't, out of the gates, it didn't work at the level that you thought it would, but you adjusted. I think you said that the guy out of the gates made 45 offers and got 0 contracts.
45 offers, 0 contracts. We found, we found the perfect person for this position. And we set expectations as good as you possibly could. We said, hey, this is going to be messy. We have a loose plan in place. We kind of want you to figure it out.
Love that. Set expectations properly.
And that's what we did very well. And what we do with every employee is like creating that psychological safety, is like you come speak up as often as possible when you feel like there's an issue.
Mm-hmm.
So he was making all these relationships. Where he was having issues with was he felt like he was making all these great relationships and then breaking their hearts when our offers would come to them, right? So from my perspective, and at this point, he was working mostly with Chris, who has the agent background, has the marketing background. Chris does all our marketing. So me being the salesperson on the team, I'm the sales director on our accountability chart. I heard this. I said, this is awesome. This is the best possible news. Where we're falling short is we don't have a sales process in place to make these offers the correct way. We're not going deep enough. One, we're not qualifying these leads as well as we should be. And we're not producing some kind of anchor to kind of lead the agent into this offer, not just he felt like he was sucker punching these agents with these really low offers.
And his job is to build relationships.
Exactly.
And if he feels like he's sucker punching them, they probably feel like that as well. So you're setting him up for failure.
And that's what was happening. That he was making these offers, these agents would never talk to him again.
Mm.
So that was where we needed to figure out a sales process, and I feel like we did a very good job of that.
I love that. Again, figuring things out. Your solution was setting up structure and process and training. Like the point I want to make from this is you saw 2 presentations, you developed a blueprint. Understanding that it was going to be messy before it was great. My buddy CJ Moss talks about that. It'll be a lot messier early, but eventually it'll be pretty. You understood that. You had the blueprint, but just having a blueprint and relationships within this group does not mean equal immediate, especially immediate success. You had failure and then you said, all right, we're not going to give up on this. That's the big thing. If I look at all of my time in the Collective Genius, for those people that implement new things, those that there was a gentleman upstairs today and was talking about in his introductory his introduction as a member, he said, I just don't quit. And a lot of times in this business, the people that continue to grow, it's just they outlast everybody.
Yeah.
They go, I'm going to find a way. You obviously said, we don't know what we're doing yet, but we do know this. We know that because we run EOS, we know that our solution is ultimately we're going to go back to the structure that we developed for this person, develop a good sales process, and then train and train and train some more. And that resulted in what?
A lot of revenue driven to our company that we wouldn't have had last year, and we really needed it. I think it's all those things, and it's the ability to always see the gain within the gap. And that's what we do well. We have that tenacious drive to never give up, but there's always something good going on. And you really have to find that and then start to nurture that and grow that into something. And that's what we did. That's exactly what we did with this position.
If you do this well, let's say in 26, you do this well for 12 months with this gentleman in this position, relationship manager. If you do well, what could that mean what are you projecting in revenue this year from this role?
So we did our annual department planning. He's shooting for $800K in revenue. And that was set by where he wants his personal goals to be.
Okay.
Like for me, when I hired him, I said, I want this position to produce $500K in revenue. Did that this year. Do I want to push it as high as possible? Yes, but we're very into making sure those numbers align with what keeps the employees happy. So like now he's driving towards a personal goal that does incredible things for the company.
This particular role, obviously if it's 800 this year, it'd probably be over $1 million in 2027 if it continues to grow. You mentioned earlier that there's a specific person you were looking for, and he was perfect. Obviously, you're in New York, he's in Huntsville, so this is boots on the ground for someone that's from that particular area. It makes total sense why you would do that. What were you looking for in this role?
So what we were looking for, and we were guided towards that by those people I was talking about. Paul Myers, Nick Elo is another. He didn't present on it, but he implemented this. Cameron Moore. And what I realized is they were looking for people who understood real estate, mortgage brokers, real estate agents. And I started to think like, hey, that may not be the best person. I wanted someone who has the ability to close. I wanted someone who had the ability to form those deep connections. And what I picked up from a lot of them was this has to be someone who's willing to commit 100% to this. This can't be an agent or a broker looking for a side gig. So with those things in mind, I put an ad out on Indeed. I advertised the salary at, I think, between like 100, 150K or something around there. And we got a lot of these agents, brokers. We got like community managers at apartment complexes. Then Justin showed up. Justin was a real estate agent in 2023 for 1 year, not successful at it. Quit doing that, went into car sales. Excellent car salesman. I think he did like 250 car sales in this past year, but he applied to this job because he's like, I love real estate. I wasn't successful at it. I hate being at the dealership 60 hours a year.
Yes. Yeah. Some of my favorite hires in sales were finance or salespeople from car dealerships because the hours, if you're trying to raise a family, it's tough. It's just really tough.
Yeah. And he was experiencing that burnout. Exactly. He also had a coaching background. He's like an elite gymnast.
Wow.
So all those things combined into me just talking to him and assessing, he has a very high emotional IQ. That made him the perfect fit. And he also followed up with me about 5 times before making a decision.
So follow up, high EQ. How was his COG score? Do you remember? Did you do that?
I did do that. It was around, I think it was around 250.
Okay. So there's, for those that are not familiar, the COG score, in addition to any type of personality test, predictive index is the one that's used mostly here at the Collective Genius. Guys like Eric Brewer, who is a former car sales guy, he won't hire, below a certain COG.
Yeah.
Especially for these positions where you have to make quick decisions that are accurate decisions. That's what the COG score is. And you want someone that has high IQ and high EQ because there's going to be time where people tell them to go pound sand. It's just part of it, right?
Yeah.
And you have to have somebody that is so good at saying, not a problem. I'm also going to follow up with you if that's okay, right? He obviously followed up with you, so he showed the ability to be able to do that. And I'm telling you this, if you can be successful at car sales and maintain, performance over multiple years, there's something there that is moldable. Especially, it sounds like he's driven, and he wanted to show that he could be successful in real estate.
And that's exactly what it was. And I don't really subscribe to the PI titles, but I do like the chart, like the graph
Sure.
on. Like he's very driving, he's very sociable. He's a little more subjective, which kind of to me goes more towards the emotional IQ. So his PI, I think he's a maverick by title, but his actual graph was, in my opinion, a perfect fit for.
Yeah, I think Maverick is a great. I have to ask my buddy Phil Green. He might tell us something different, but I think in this particular role, you need him to almost be his own business owner.
And that's what that's the environment we've been trying to create for him this entire time. You are us, but you only have one job.
Yeah,
and
thrive in that.
And that's what we achieved.
You presented a gold standard, did a great job yesterday. Is there anything that you took away from all the gold standard presentations that you watched yesterday?
Yeah, how far we have to go. Which I love, because that's why I love this business, and that's why I love these rooms, is there's never a ceiling to hit. Like, I love continuing to grow. Like, one of our internal core values is keep growing.
Love that. That's cool, man. Keep growing.
Keep growing. That's it.
Sounds like Nemo. Just keep going.
That's
it. Growing.
So big takeaways is probably acquisition and marketing improvement. We're quite a bit off from the Ren's gold standard on acquisitions. Appointment to contract is a specific statistic we're working on. We're trying to get up significantly, but marketing, like what Candy and Joe presented on, that's the definition of like a premier level business in my eyes.
Love hearing you say that for that very reason, because that is the whole reason we asked them and other premier members to present. So you have this standard, this baseline of, we thought we were doing really well. Turns out we're bronze, which is fine. It's still places, right?
Yep.
But we've got silver and gold to get to. I love hearing you say that for that very reason.
And where we're at in this group, like we've recognized we're probably at the top 5% in this group of how our business is running. And that's just the power of this community and whole, because we'll reach out to Brian, we'll reach out to Jen and be like, hey, can you connect us with someone who's doing X, Y, or Z? Like Chris met with Candy a month ago to go into that stuff, because we were looking specifically for Salesforce, how to track KPIs better, how to make changes when those KPIs aren't hitting. So meeting with them, even though they're not on the same level with us, them giving us the time was like, just incredibly grateful for that. But to start implementing like campaigns in Salesforce, tracking our metrics a little better and holding those vendors accountable that we give so much money to.
The vendor piece of that yesterday was kind of that next level to get to gold, right? You hold your people accountable, but you also have to hold vendors accountable. This is something, again, that I, as a member prior to being on this side, I remember always hearing Phil Green talk about that. You cannot be loyal to vendors unless they are producing. Like they are like an employee. You have to treat them as such. And that was many, many years ago. And I think that's the first time I've seen someone present on it in a while. Vendor relationships are crucial to the development and the scale of your business. And if you're just letting them set it and forget it, it's just not good enough.
And that was a slap in the face for us, Leon, because we got in this rhythm of we meet with a vendor every month. That's 3 whole weeks where their metrics, they may not be performing at the level we need them to. Would we ever do that with an internal employee? No. We meet every week and go over scorecards. So if they're not performing, that was like the 0 to 1 for me.
Yep.
It's like, get them in a meeting that week if these metrics are down.
And I will tell you from my own experience, service providers want to know that they're doing well for you. And a lot of times they don't know unless you tell them that they're not producing at the level that you expect. So meeting with them more often than once a month allows them also to tweak things, because here's what I've found. As a person that, whether you're a real estate entrepreneur, a real estate agent, a roofer, whatever, if you run a service-based business, of any type, and you have vendors that you're utilizing, the squeaks get the grease, right? And so maybe they have 200 clients, but you're holding them accountable. You're more likely to get their time and energy and effort to make sure your campaign's running at a high level, because they know you've got a magnifying glass looking at, hey, this is my expectation. No different from an employee.
No, not at all. And that's like, you're attracted to people who share the same core values as you, right? Almost most of our vendors have the same core values that we do.
Yep.
So they want that feedback. They want to meet more
right.
often. It's 100%. It's always on us when they're not performing, you know, but holding them accountable to make sure they know what's going on.
Very good. All right, let's finish up with, you've done a lot of great things in 2025. What are you most excited for in 26?
So in our annual planning, we did put a plan in place to purchase our first commercial property this year.
Okay, big steps here.
A very big step. We have a big, hairy, audacious goal of creating a $36 million of equity portfolio in 10 years to be able to provide profit sharing opportunities and community support in our market.
Love that.
In our annual meeting this year, we said, hey, we need to cut our teeth on a commercial property this year, because we're not going to hit that 10-year goal unless we do something now. So more of a learning experience, I think it's going to be this year, maybe not something that big. Chris has rocks broken up into researching, networking with brokers, and then the last half of the year, we're going to try to execute on purchasing a commercial property.
You've had select members that, depending upon the type of commercial, but commercial asset, you've got, Colby Kirk, John Heisler,
Yep.
Both here in select. John actually just promoted up to Premier.
Yes.
There was another gentleman that just talked about commercial upstairs. That's another thing that has grown significantly, even at the select level, where you have people that are select level operators, but are only doing apartments or only doing commercial. That has changed. We didn't see a lot of that, 4 or 5 years ago, where you're now seeing that operators are going, no, I don't deal any single family. I'm treating these apartment buildings that are 10 units and 12 units and 14 units as my single family operation.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of having a partner, where we're delegating everything to Chris. He's running around meeting all those people you just talked about. But there's a ton of people at the select level who are doing that. Drew and Dane, they've been working on a $3 million industrial flex space build for the past year. Like, we've been meeting with them, hearing about this for the past year. That's part of what led us to building the confidence to try something out this year.
Yeah, well, you guys are process driven. Most people, I would say, that's a shiny object you shouldn't chase, but based upon the gold standards that you're presenting here at the Collective Genius, and how you get something started and you follow through and hold people accountable, not only vendors but also obviously employees, you will do just fine, my friend. I appreciate all the value you gave on the stage yesterday and joining us here at the Collective Genius podcast.
Anytime. Thank you so much for having me, Liam.
Awesome, JT. Well, goodness, you heard so many references to members that has helped JT and Chris in their business and continue to grow and scale it. I don't know why you wouldn't want to be in a room like that if you're a real estate investor that truly wants to grow, not only as a business owner, but also as a human being. This is the room for you. You can easily fill out an application to get into the Collective Genius. The easiest way to do that is explorecg.com. There's the application. You fill that out. You can talk to us on the other side. We'll see if this is a good fit for you and vice versa. If it is, we'd love to see you in this room. Our next select meeting is in May. Our next premier meeting is in March. We'd love to see you at one of those events. There's a tier for you if you're a full-time real estate investor. That will do it for this CG podcast. We will be back in a few with our last of the day. This has been the Live Collective Genius podcast.
Are you ready to scale your real estate business? Visit thecollectivegenius.com, where real estate investors come to scale. Subscribe to the Collective Genius podcast and hit the bell icon to be notified when our next episode releases. And thanks for listening.